may stem from the day of her coronation, when, as she was about to set off on a new adventure, word just came through of another. Sir Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing had just reached the summit of Mount Everest. International papers called it a coronation gift. It was a time when the country still largely saw itself as an offshoot of England. And that affection for the motherland was evident in the huge crowds that greeted the Queen when she visited New Zealand months later on the longest tour of her reign and the first of 10 visits here. Arriving on the SS Gothic, she brought her coronation gown with her to wear again at the opening of Parliament in 1954.
On this historic occasion, Her Majesty is performing duties normally carried out on her behalf by the Governor-General.
Over 5 weeks, the Queen visited 46 towns.
All eyes are on the Queen at Ellerslie Racecourse as Her Majesty arrives for the opening of the summer meetings. It's a day which will show that the Queen has inherited all her grandfather's love of racehorses.
Prince Philip joined her all the way, having left the military to serve alongside her.
I give you my colour in the knowledge that you will guard it well, in the belief that it will always remind you of the trust I place in my Royal New Zealand Air Force.
1954 was the Queen's first of several visits to Waitangi.
The dart must be picked up as a sign of friendship before the royal party can advance.
Visit nearly 9 years later came when the nation was debating whether Waitangi should be a national holiday, and later visits would see protest targeted. In 1986, she was riding in an open car near the Ellerslie Racecourse in Auckland when 2 women threw eggs at her. They told police they were protesting the signing of the treaty. In 1990, she ducked a black T-shirt hurled from close range at Waitangi, and she never went back. But it did little to change a long history of informality around the Queen's visits here. She preferred public walkabouts over orchestrated events, much to the surprise of travelling English reporters who covered the 1970 tour, when the Queen brought along 22-year-old Charles and 20-year-old Anne.
Certainly, this royal tour will go on record as one of the most informal ever undertaken. She walked with the Mayor of Wellington, Sir Francis Kipps, in an atmosphere almost entirely free from the security measures we've come to expect at home.
The youngest royal siblings, Andrew and Edward, joined the family on the Royal Yacht Britannia in 1974, when the Queen attended the Commonwealth Games in Christchurch.
May they display cheerfulness and concord.
The royal family came back again for the Games in Auckland in 1990.
I proclaim the 14th Commonwealth Games, Auckland, 1990, closed.
Parties of the world have been held in her honour, and she celebrated some in New Zealand. First was the Jubilee in 1977, marking 25 years on the throne. 25 years later, in 2002, she'd visit again to mark her Golden Jubilee. It wasn't quite the jubilant welcome she'd received on her first visit, firstly because the stairs were narrower than the door and it took 4 attempts to get the royals out of the plane. The crowds that lined the streets had dwindled somewhat since her first visit, and a poll release just before she arrived found 58% of the population said the monarchy had little or no relevance to their lives. But in a banquet at Parliament with Helen Clark, the Queen spoke glowingly about the changes she'd seen over 50 years.
I have admired your increasing energy and confidence. I know that this process of evolution will continue as you, the people of New Zealand, map out your path for the future.
When the Queen visited New Zealand for the last time in 1995, it was during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. She witnessed a Commonwealth nation moving further away from British traditions. Prime Minister of the time raised the country's debate over republicanism in the presence of the Queen, and she was asked to open the refurbished Parliament buildings as the nation had just voted in MMP.
Within a year, this will be the home of the first New Zealand Parliament elected under proportional representation. This constitutional change from the traditions inherited from Westminster will have far-reaching effects on the operation of Parliament and the public service. And no one should overlook the essential work for our cherished democracy which that service contributes. Kia kaha, kia maya, kia mana wanui, Aotearoa mano.
She told New Zealanders to be strong, patient and brave, and it would be her last public message to the country on New Zealand soil. Subsequent royal visits have been carried out by her family, but as the Queen ramped down international travel, Kiwis would instead go to her. She hosted the All Blacks several times at Buckingham Palace and even invited former Prime Minister John Key to bring his family to stay with her at the royal family's private bolt hole in Balmoral.
Well, I hope you haven't got too cold today.
No, it's been absolutely beautiful.
New Zealand crews did brave the cold to take up the Queen's invitation to be included in the Diamond Jubilee flotilla on the Thames. And the New Zealand Army Band performed at the Queen's 90th birthday pageant at Windsor Castle, providing some light relief from British pomp and pageantry. But while the two nations' traditions have grown apart in some ways, the Queen's life was intertwined with New Zealand history and New Zealanders' lives with hers.
Expressing that they want to be among those hundreds of thousands who get the chance to pay their respects in person to Queen Elizabeth and really honour what she means to them.
Lisa, we're just seeing the gates of Buckingham Palace there. Some umbrellas still up, night is falling of course, and these are the candle tributes outside the iconic black gates of Buckingham Palace.